bloody do, mate, right? Oh, I was already recording. Banging. Well, that is a fantastic introduction. Wow. Hello. God, that energy will dip very quickly.
Yeah.
It will.
Keep moving that camera closer.
Yeah, no, they need to see our fucking gorgeous faces. Look at us, we are sexy. So boys, I've given you lots of reviews recently, and you've loved them all. So guess what? We're giving you another review. Hello. That's Ben.
I am Ben.
You've seen him before.
Yeah, I think I had longer hair last time I was on.
Your head, like, occasionally you shave it off, occasionally it's fucking like...
It does what it wants, you know.
Well, it does what you want.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily do what I want.
No, but you got the little curly numbers. It's great. It's like pathetic curtains.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like I could do curtains, I could just do this. So, we're going with this.
It's very good, but trust me, we will talk more about your hair on the Mad podcast, which you should go watch.
The Mad podcast.
It's in one of the corners. I can never remember. But today, we are going to be reviewing the series 14/1, the first 4 episodes.
I forgot about the /1 bit.
I am still in the mood of calling it season 14, and that's what it's what it is in my heart.
Yeah.
It's the classic era to the new era, complete change of format. Fucking 20 years had passed. Well, yeah, about 20 years.
Yeah.
Like it counts. This one, it doesn't really count as a change in format. So it's series 14. Ben, what are your thoughts?
Oh God, what, just in general?
Look, so far, and you know, include, you know, if you want to talk about Church on Ruby Road as well, we'll go through them all specifically. But how you feeling? Emotions.
Emotions, damn. I've been loving the first few episodes of this season. It's been a really nice surprise. Because obviously coming off the back of era chibbers. I was a bit nervous, and then obviously, you know, I love RTD and everything he does, but I think there was a part of me that was going, are we gonna fall into the trap of it feeling like the Chibbers era, and you know, were the 60th anniversary episode's a bit of a one-off because it was the 60th and it was David Tennant and everything like that, but no, I've week in and week out, I've loved it. It's given me a reason, not that it's really a Saturday night anymore, it's more Saturday afternoon when I get out of bed because it's been uploaded to Disney Plus on a Friday, but it's given me a reason to get back into wanting to watch Doctor Who when it airs, which I haven't had since the Capaldi era recently. And I just think everyone's bloody great in it, really. The writing's great, the acting's great, the chemistry is great, it's great.
I think that's one of the things to start off with is, and this is what I feel is the magic of RTD1 in a certain sense, is that some of the episodes that the bloke wrote himself in RTD1 were shit. Some really shit episodes. But the reason why it always worked is because it was always based around a fantastic doctor and a fantastic companion in the chemistry, which is something that hasn't always been there in some of the more recent stuff. And I think that's true here, is that the overarching thing is that the Doctor and Ruby are so fantastic together. Their chemistry is brilliant, to the point where we'll get there more, but in 73 Yards I was like, we've only got 8 episodes here, I can't lose an episode
I know. And we talked about this the other day of having this Doctor Light episode, and I know we'll kind of talk about it later, but having this Doctor Light episode makes sense when you have 13 episodes of Doctor Who, but when you only have 8, it feels a lot more like you're missing something. But I love Shooty, but I didn't miss him in this episode because I almost didn't notice he wasn't there. In the best way possible.
We will get. Shall we? Let's do some mini episode reviews. Let's sort quickly. It happened a fucking while ago, so you won't care. But what were your quick thoughts on the Church of Ruby Road?
Church of Ruby Road. I enjoyed it. I think out of the 4, in retrospect, it's my least favourite of the episodes to rewatch. Because when I watched it on Christmas Day, and I had all of the kind of... I had the alcohol, but I was in the mood for Christmas joy and a bit more fun, and I think that allowed me to kind of enjoy with the singing a bit more and with the nonsense of the goblins and stuff. I did really like the episode, but I think I was able to get more into it because it was Christmas, and then rewatching it in May and going, yeah, I don't think this quite holds up as well. But then I think that's the joy of a Christmas episode. It has to be viewed within the context of Christmas, and I think it did a really good job of bringing Doctor Who back onto the screen on Christmas Day, introducing us to this new fantastic cast, and setting up this really quite interesting plot, overarching plot that's going to kind of continue us over the next 4 episodes. And I think it was great.
I think it was messy as fuck.
Oh really?
Look, I
mean, I have issues with it. I won't lie, but I think I'm also there's also going to be an element of we've just had 4 years of Chibbers delivering mediocre episodes on New Year's Day, so I think there was an element of, oh, it's Christmas, it's back on Doctor Who, it's this, and maybe kind of put the rose-tinted glasses down a little bit, I don't know.
It's one that I haven't rewatched since Christmas, and that's naughty. But I think when I watched it, I was like, it was one of those where it was like, it was fun, and then it just, like, a lot of, like, good elements that I was really enjoying, and it was one of those, I think it didn't quite stick the landing for me, but it was perfectly fun and Christmassy enough. But I would definitely agree, compared to any episode of Series 4 or the specials, obviously that's also RTD's children, children, it's not children, I think it's for me the clear weakest.
Yeah, definitely. It's not holding a candle to any of RTD's other big stories, especially the specials. You know, if you think back to good Christmas episodes and you go like The End of Time and things like that, then that is what I mean, isn't it? The End of Time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good.
We'll cut that out.
We won't. You smashed
we
it.
won't. But like,
I edit these podcasts.
No, I'm joking. I'll edit it. It's fine. No.
Thank you.
But like, I think if you compare it to something like that, then it doesn't really hold a candle to it. But if you look at it within the context of, you know, this decade of Who, I think it's a really, really strong Christmas contender.
Yes, bringing back Christmas was a wise choice. I think the thing that surprised me a little bit was when Space Babies came out. People on the Twitter they seem to think these 2 episodes are on similar levels. And they're just not, because for context, I'm doing another video. I'm most of the way through the Devil's Cord, where I'm doing my second watches, and I hold the camera up and I make some comments as I go. So I, about an hour ago, watched Space Babies for the second time, and I liked it the first time more than I liked Church. But on the second watch, I think Space Babies is the most underrated of this era so far.
That's quite a bold. Well, it's not necessarily a bold statement.
Underrated, bearing in mind people don't rate. I certainly think, because we'll get to it. But I actually think I feel similar or worse about the Series 14 episodes than everyone else does, apart from Space Babies, which I genuinely think I would give an 8 or a 9 out of 10 to.
Okay. I don't think I'd rate it that highly. I did really enjoy it, and on the second viewing, I enjoyed it more. I think when I watched Space Babies and Devil's Cord, I watched them back to back because that was how they were released, and I thought, well, there's clearly a reason for doing it other than just this kind of fad that's come up in the last couple of years of just going, oh, we're going to release things week by week, but not the first episode. And there's a show coming out that's releasing like the first 3 episodes, which
I think The Boys does it.
Yeah, and I don't get it. I think there has to be a reason. And so when I initially watched it, my kind of guess for the reason was that they felt, and how I felt at the time, was that The Devil's Cord was the stronger episode to open a season on. And so then releasing 1 and 2, you almost think of them more as 2 halves of an episode as opposed to 2 individual episodes. But I really do enjoy Space Babies. I think it's fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It allows Ncuti and Millie to kind of do their thing in their own environments and have their own moments that really create strong characters. I think the plot itself was not necessarily the strongest. I think we've seen that sort of story done better in other episodes. I think we've also seen it done worse. It reminded me a lot of the episode with the sleep. The Capaldi episode.
Well, actual like sleep no more.
Yeah, Sleep No
Yeah.
More. It reminded
that
me
was fucking shy.
I saw it.
That was
I
really
saw it,
shit.
and it was like, this is what Sleep No More wanted to be, and could have been, had it been written by someone better. But I don't think it's quite an. Would you say an 8 or a 9?
I'd say an 8 or a 9. Now, in context, taking it outside of It's a Doctor Who episode, what I think it's got to do in an 8-episode series is do the groundwork for new fans that, as we've mentioned, a 12, 13 episode season sometimes has had to do in the past. I think what it does is introduce all of the Doctor Who elements for new fans without being irritating at all to old fans. I think it introduces interesting ideas really, really well, touches on the Timeless Child, all of the interesting bits of it, weirdly, all of like the orphan stuff and like those connections between the Doctor and Ruby. It takes all of the irritating lore stuff out of it and makes it a genuinely interesting plot point for me. And the episode itself, heartfelt with a lot of the baby stuff. Really, actually, nicely emotional when you get into it. I think it's got some fun moments of comedy. Really does a lot of groundwork for this fantastic, watchable dynamic. Apart from some of the, Slitheen-esque grossness, that's the, it's like, we get it, the show's for kids, you've got to have some farting, you've got to have some monsters made of literal snot. Apart from some of those elements, it's not going above and beyond, but it's doing its job very, very... Okay,
absolutely.
So maybe I do mean 8 out of 10.
Okay.
I think 9 might be pushing it for the sake of it, but I think 8 out of 10 for this story is completely fair.
I think I'd err towards a 7 for me. I think it was marred by the first 10 minutes, and you kind of mentioned that it has to do a lot of legwork in an 8-episode season that you won't have to do in a 13-episode season. I know we've had 8-episode seasons before, but they were they had groundwork already because Jodie's seasons were being reduced. So we'd had the, you'd had time to establish these characters and the relationships that they didn't have with each other and all this kind of art, work that was done. Whereas I felt this episode rushed that a little bit at the beginning. I felt the first 10-15 minutes of all the establishing was like going, right, we need to build up a relationship between the Doctor and Ruby, and we need to explain like where he's from and all this kind of stuff. Basically, like everything that Rose does, but Rose has 45 minutes to do it, and I felt like they went first 10-15 minutes. It was like, right, who is he? Da-da, da-da, da-da. And it was a lot. I felt there was a lot of just shooty, rattling off exposition because he needs to catch Millie up and will catch Ruby up and get them to the point where they're not having to do that throughout the episode. I don't think it was done badly, but I sat there kind of going, cool, exposition, cool.
Yeah.
And I thought that bits of it were done nicely, like with the stepping on the butterfly. I thought that was a really nice way of twisting that and having a bit of fun. But I think that marred the episode slightly, and then I felt it, as a consequence of that, it wasn't able to take as much time as kind of maybe I wanted it to with the actual crux of the story. Like, we were thrust into that after all of this intro stuff, and then, I don't know, everything felt like it was like, right, we've got to hit this beat, because we have to get to the end of the episode by the end of the episode. Maybe that's just me being picky. I think if maybe we'd had a little bit more time, if the episode had felt like 45 minutes and not half an hour, then perhaps I would bump it up to an 8, but...
I think watching it made me feel like the story is simple, and it is especially compared to some of the things we've... All I will say is, Russell find a middle ground, because we'll get on to 73 yards, and it's, boys, at this point, make up your own fan fiction and do half the story work for me. And we do this, and we're like, wow, this story is... It's simple, is the way to describe it.
Yeah.
It worked for me.
Yeah. It definitely worked as an episode. No, I think it was very good. I would say official ranking that we're going to have a nice animatic of that's going to
We definitely
It's
will.
going to be really nice.
Really good.
7.5 out of 10 between the two of us. There we go. Lovely.
Maths. Let's quickly do the church on Ruby Road to make sure that we got animatic. Such good animatic.
What did you vote it out of 10?
I'm gonna give the church on Ruby Road a 6 out of 10.
I was also going to say a 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 for the
6
church
out
on
of 10.
Ruby Road.
But
There
you
we
don't
go.
need us to say that because we got a lovely animatic. 7.5. 6.
Boom. Right.
The Devil's Cord. Ooh. Benjaminos, what are your thoughts on the Devil's Cord?
I really like the Devil's Chord. I think there's, I'm a musician, and so I really liked the way that
Watch Tornio, listen to them.
Stop it.
We're gonna plug
Stop
them.
it.
They got great music. Reason to Breathe is fucking sick, mate.
We'll cut that bit out as well.
We will.
I really liked the messing with the, what would the world look like without music? Where would all of these, the Beatles, where would they be without music? I really liked the really awful songs that they created. I thought that was really fun. I know a lot of people have watched it and just be like, oh, well, why are you throwing in the Beatles if you're not going to do anything with them? It doesn't matter. It's just there for a bit of fun. Like, the crux of the episode was between Maestro and the Doctor and Ruby. I mean, fantastic. The setting of the 60s with music was purely just a vehicle to explore that premise. I think it was done very, very well. I think that was a really nice way of bringing in this character and then using and showing off their powers for, everyone's heard of the fucking Beatles. Like, we can swear, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
Everyone's heard of the fucking Beatles, and everyone knows all their music.
No, we've done everything now, so.
And everyone knows their music, and so I think that was probably the perfect place to go and take that and twist it around. And you don't need to make John the main character of the story. He just gets to be there and does his thing in his fantastic northern accent. I thought it was great. I thought Jinx Monsoon was fucking phenomenal, terrifying and amazing, and so good. I thought it was a phenomenal episode. I know you don't think of it as highly.
See,
but
I mean, this is the awkward thing. I probably should have gotten up earlier to do this, so then I could have maybe finished at least Devil's Cord before I started this. That's my bad. I was thinking. So first watch, and you'll know this because I've also done reviews for each of them. Go watch them, you lovely people. Do it. I'm so camp. I came away from the Devil's Cord kind of feeling like I've had, like a shit pizza or something. Like I've enjoyed the ride. I don't think it's done much for my health, but how do I mean it? Like, it was fun, but absolutely plotless. Now, weirdly, I've kind of watched the first half hour again and found a couple more of the like the plot beats. I have to admit, when I first watched Space Babies and Devil's Cord, I wasn't going to do this, but I got really, really drunk. I was really drunk and then sat down at midnight and do my reviews at midnight. I watched both episodes and I admitted them in my reviews. I'm really pissed. So I actually be able to watch them and focus on them. It's made a bit more sense. People will be surprised at this. I still prefer Space Babies. I think there are elements of the story where it's like the way I've described it is the toy maker got away with it because the toy maker already exists in Doctor Who and it's kind of their own thing, and the toy maker still had some logic to me. I think as soon as you take away too much logic from certain things happening, it becomes less sci-fi and more fantasy.
Yeah.
To me, and I think sometimes, and that's why I'm slightly worried about we're building up the Pantheon to, I'm not sure if we're building it up to be the villain, like the main thing of this series or the RTD2 in general or somewhere in between, but I worry that sometimes we're creating more of a fantasy story and less of a sci-fi story, where it's not grounded in its own logic enough.
Yeah, I can absolutely see that. I think that, for me, Doctor Who's always been sci-fi fantasy. So I'm not saying that you're not, but like when I watch it, I can kind of go, you know what, they want to do a bit more of the kind of, we're just gonna have some nonsense going on. I think that without having to play into the sci-fi element of it, I think they can still absolutely get away with it. I'll agree there wasn't as much of a story with this, but then I think you could also argue that within the same realms, a lot of the Doctor Who stories haven't had much of a story. It's person pops up, does bad thing, Doctor turns up to stop them, there's a bit of argy-bargy in the middle, and then they all go home happy. I mean, like, when you break things down to that much of a level, you could call any episode that, but...
I am a cynical bastard.
You are a cynical bastard. But I think this episode definitely thrives on the performances more than anything.
Oh, 100%.
But because those performances, in my eyes, were so stellar, the episode is carried so far. And you're allowed to then enjoy the lovely moments of everything's looking bleak, the Doctor's messed up the cord at the end, and then John and Paul are able just together to do it, and it almost kind of, it's not related to the story, which almost makes it more enjoyable. That moment was just about, two mates who like music, and we're like, let's play a bit of music. It just so happened that was what was needed for the story. A bit of Deus Ex Machina, but I think it worked in the context of it, and I never was watching the episode. I was never bored. I didn't feel it was super predictable. There were moments that I was like, ooh, that's a really nice kind of, not twist necessarily, but kind of drawing out these moments longer to highlight this tension, and just Jinx Monsoon.
I think these episodes, what they do really, what they do, dickhead, really well, is all of them, I think, to a certain extent, is deal with themes really nice. Obviously, the Chibnall era, certainly, like, the earlier stuff got, like, hammered for, like, fucking beating you with, like save the environment, kids, otherwise you're gonna turn into monsters.
Plastic,
and, like the themes, like, obviously, like, other episodes, like Boom and, the refugee stuff in Space Babies and all that, they dealt with more delicate themes. Even, like music dealt with as a theme, and how highly it's respected. That is the stuff where it was really interesting to me, like we said, like showing the world, like using the 60s, a famous era of the music with the sort of the Beatles. And I think there's the use of those themes. Russel handles them so well, and
Absolutely.
He knows what he's doing.
He knows how to convey a message without, having to bash it over the head Chibnall style with you. And some of those messages are important messages, especially in today's climate about refugees and war zones. But then others, I think, can be as simple as just, what is the world without music? And yet you can, both of those can be used as vehicles to tell an enjoyable, emotional, tense story of science fiction. And I think that's the one thing that I realised I'd missed most when RTD came back, was this kind of almost coming away going, oh yeah, I hadn't thought of the fact that it was about that, as opposed to going, wow, I guess it's about this then, because they're sitting there like you're going, this is bad, right? It's bad. And I think that was one of the issues that I definitely had with Chibnall's era, was that I felt like I wasn't allowed to enjoy the episodes because they weren't about the episode, they were about what they were trying to say. And I think Russell flipping that in the way he does has made these episodes, and hopefully the rest of the season, just so much more enjoyable to watch.
They're like themes as subplots.
Yeah.
They're not bashing it, but you come away from these episodes and you go, I had maybe not, maybe Devil's Call is a bad example for me personally, but you come away with an interesting story, but then you also come away with the subplotty story, certainly with other episodes like the refugee stuff, like Stephen Moffat's political faith extravaganza, all of that stuff. You come away with these interesting thoughts, whilst also not come away from it going, shit, I better recycle them, boys. Was there a plot?
Yeah, and I think, we've got, I'm waffling here. I do a lot of waffling.
You're great at it.
But I think we're we're lucky to be in a place where we can now enjoy Doctor Who again. Really, like, not that I didn't enjoy parts of Jodie's, but I think Doctor Who is going back to what it should have been and what it's always been about, which is just good stories. That's it. Doesn't have to be about anything bigger than that, other than just a good story.
Also, if we haven't said it before, well done, Jinx Monsoon. You did good.
You did very good.
We're on
the animatic ranking.
Animatic ranking. It's here. I promise you, it's here. Where's it going? I'm gonna go with a 7.
I'm gonna go 7.5. So that's 7.25 out of 10 between the two of us.
Space Babies is winning the ranking. 7.5.
I guess it is.
7.25. 6. Pathetic. Ruby Road Church.
I mean, the thing is, that sounds bad when you put it like that. If the highest episode that we've talked about here is a 7.5, for me that sounds like the series is not great. But I don't know, maybe I've always just overranked everything beforehand.
See, I do my. No one gives a fuck. But I do my, like, out of 10s on, like if I had a fine time with an episode, I will give it a 5. To me, I will give it an average and therefore a 5. If it's starting to lean into what I see as a bad episode, I would give it a 4 and so on. So I feel like, for me, going 7, like a 6 to me is it's a good episode, it's perfectly enjoyable, but nothing special in the slightest, which is probably how I feel about Church on Ruby Road.
Yeah.
I'm happy with our rankings. The animatic is smashing the game.
It is. What's next? Boom.
What are your thoughts?
Oh, so good. And not just because I love Moffat's writing when he's writing solo episodes or contained stories. I just thought that it was so fantastically acted by Jodie and Millie. There were so many moments where I was like just sat there frozen watching them. They were, both of them, so good. The supporting cast, other than possibly some child acting, but
that child acting is terrible.
Child acting is on a different is its own conversation. Doctor Who's never had a great relationship with child acting, really. But I think, everyone did such a fantastic job. And the episode was, like, it didn't have to be any bigger than it was. I know that there was this whole threat about, the Doctor's going to blow up the whole of the planet. That almost meant nothing in the context of the episode. It was about building that relationship of trust between the Doctor and Rose and Ruby. But also just allowing some fantastic actors to chew away at scenery in amazing ways. I did get into an argument with my housemate, who's also a big Doctor Who fan. He didn't like Boom because they said, he said, I didn't like it because they could have used the Sonic, but they didn't. And I was going, we've had so much use of the Sonic recently. It's nice to see an episode where he doesn't. And he goes, yeah, but they could have explained not using the Sonic. And it made me so frustrated because, like, the Doctor is not the Sonic. The Sonic is just a vehicle for doing and scanning things. If the whole of the crux of the episode can be fixed by just scanning the Sonic, then I don't think you understand what the episode was trying to do.
It's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, you probably... Would I have maybe even appreciated a line going, oh yeah, no, the Sonic's back at the fucking... Or the Sonic sound waves would prove someone is there and therefore... Yeah. Would I have approved of some exposition like that? Yeah, sure.
Does it ruin the episode for you not having it? Well, then there we go.
Because, well, for me, I did not think about the Sonic for 1 second. I was too immersed in...
There was too much going on to worry about it, and there was the stakes were kind of too high to worry about the Sonic, especially because of the underuse of the Sonic in this season with the new Sky Remote.
Yeah, sick, mate. You remember what you were talking about, don't you?
Yes, vaguely the use of the Sky Remote.
Doctor Who,
Doctor
the
Who.
Sonic. I am going to pose to you something.
Okay.
People said after I will do my thoughts. Give me a chance, cunts. I don't know what I said. I'm sorry, guys. People have said after this that now this episode proves that Moffat should come back to showrun, or RTD and Moffat should showrun together. This episode, for me, right? Think about Benjaminos.
I will.
Your favourite Stephen Moffat Doctor Who episodes, and I guarantee you, if you did a top 10, all of Moffat's, or most of them from RTD's era that Moffat wrote, will be up there as some of your favourites.
Oh, yeah.
Moffat, for me, while I enjoyed some of his season arc, is at his best with a focus on single episodes, and in that sense, he's a beautiful writer. And even though I know he's writing the upcoming Christmas special, I was sad to find out he isn't doing anything for 15. Because for me, Moffat, within an RTD season, for me, is the best Doctor Who has ever been.
Definitely. I can't think of a bad Moffat episode within an RTD arc. I think, yeah, his seasons were fine. I like a lot of the episodes in some of the seasons. But I think he works best when the Doctor is the established character and he is creating the story for the Doctor to interact with, as opposed to trying to create the Doctor as the established character, because he just turns into Sherlock. And that's not what the Doctor really has ever been, and it always kind of rubbed me up the wrong way, especially kind of on rewatches, watching him, like watching Matt and Capaldi just be like enjoying being the smartest person in the room. I felt he wrote the Doctor quite cocky, and while Shooty there's definitely a lot of cockiness in there. He's able to know the exact weight of an object to like 3 decimal points just by looking at it. Yeah, that's cocky, but he doesn't. I never felt like he was wallowing in his cockiness. And I've said cock quite a lot in this sentence, and I know James is enjoying that. But I don't know. I think he's thrived so much coming back and writing this episode, and probably seeing how much love this episode has got. I think it's going to be the best episode of the season. I know I'm saying that having only watched half of the season, but I'm really struggling to see how we top this episode in terms of emotional weight, in terms of performance, in terms of kind of inter-character stakes and character-driven arc. The story didn't really do much, but I never felt like it had to.
Spoiler alert for the upcoming amazing graphics. I'm probably talking 9.5 here. Like, it's just like we talked about themes earlier. The way it just effortlessly incorporates some beautiful thematic, and it was always Moffat's strength, just writing beautiful like lines of dialogue and all of that jazz. I mean, even little bits like the one point where the episode made me feel slightly uncomfortable as it starts going into realms of like faith and stuff, and then I was so glad. This is so niche, but there's it turns back to like talking about faith at the end, and like kind of like resets some like goods and bads about that theme. It's tense, it's emotional, it's simple Doctor Who. Simple on scales, but massive and thought-provoking on others. It's Doctor Who at its finest, and I'm not sure how it will be beaten this season. I'm excited to rewatch it as part of that upcoming video. Subscribe, thank you very much.
Subscribe.
But I would go as far as to say it's probably the best Doctor Who we've had in years. Single episode.
I think, for me, the only episode that comes close to it in the last 5 years is The Haunting of Villa Diodati.
Fantastic episode,
which I love, but I don't think it's close to this episode. It just, everything worked. Nothing. There were only, I can't think of specific moments. Obviously, there was Moffat's favorite big Deus Ex Machina at the end, and I think that kind of took away ever so slightly. But it was Moffat, so I knew it was coming. I think I'd go with. I'd go with a 9. A 9.
So I think we're going to end on a 9.25.
9.25.
Woo!
Fantastic.
It's going to top the rankings. It's going to fucking stay there because 73 Yards needs a rewatch from me. I think the rewatch will help me because lovely people in my comments are trying to explain to me why they liked it and why they... I think 73 Yards... I think I explained it the best earlier. I think at a certain point, if an episode needs people to, like, fanfic in different bits and explain different points, if people are having to a certain extent guess things, the episode in itself doesn't lay enough out. Whilst again, like, I'm going to go. I don't think we're talking lower than like a 5 here for me. I'm waffling, but like, not enough.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a difficult episode to talk about because it's an episode of two halves. On the one hand, you've got the watching of it, and there are some really tense moments. The writing I thought was really good. The character development for Ruby, in performance from Millie Gibson, stellar. But on the other hand, you've got what you're left with, which is 101 questions. For me, I really like that. I like being left with stuff because it keeps it in my mind. It keeps me thinking about it. There aren't many other Doctor Who episodes I can think of where I go away and I go, what do I think of that? And why do I think that happened? And why do I think there's this? Whereas, other episodes, the door has opened.
What did you think, Parker, of 73 Yards?
What? What did you think?
What did you think of 73 Yards? Do you want to add to the graphic? Give it a score out of 10, and I promise you, we will add it into the ranking. What did you think of 73 Yards?
8.9.
Ooh, that's really going to help it in the rankings. That is really going to help it in the rankings.
Thank you,
I
Parker.
don't know what that is.
Yeah, 73 Yards, mate. It's a bit of shit, wasn't it? 8.9. Fucking, he doesn't know jack shit, mate.
I haven't watched anything. I don't know what this is. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Doggy woo, mate.
Ah, I see.
Doggy woo. 73 Yards. It's just like, because then it left me with the questions of like, well, surely then are we? The other thing, because obviously I said a rewatch will help this.
Yes.
The other thing that may help it is the fact that I'm not fully sure if we're going to like come back to this episode or not as part of the finale, because that's been semi-rumoured. We're not sure if this is completely standalone or if like ideas of like the Albion and Roger Williams are coming back, because then I was thinking, well, surely in this new we're now technically back to the original timeline, so he's still going to become the Prime Minister. But then someone made the point of Mad Jack is the circle, and they never break the circle in the new timeline. So Mad Jack is kept within the circle, and that Prime Minister never happens. But then if that's the case, then you're getting too much again into the fantasy, and I'm not sure, again, with fucking stepping on a circle means a Prime Minister's unleashed. So, yeah, mate.
For me, it comes back to paradoxes, which I think Doctor Who has kind of flitted about a lot, has definitely broken a lot of paradoxes and not really explained it very well. I'm currently doing a rewatch through all of the seasons, and I've just done the Under the Lake double episodes.
Nice.
And obviously they talk a lot about the bootstrap paradox in that, and that's the whole, who wrote Beethoven's Fifth and stuff. I think what this episode...
I haven't seen that episode in a while. Didn't Beethoven write Beethoven's Fifth?
1 second. So the episode starts with Peter Capaldi, and he's like, so there
And
was
he's
a dude.
monologuing, isn't
Yeah,
he?
and he was like, there was a dude who went back, and he like gave Beethoven the dun 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 dun, and then Beethoven wrote it, but then he can't find any proof of the time travel who gave him. So, you know, where did Beethoven's Fifth really come from? It's the whole that, you know, if your grandfather dies and all that kind of nonsense. Yeah. Paradoxes that don't make sense because they go back. But that's what the whole of the ending to the Under the Flood is that the Doctor has sent a message back, but he's only sent it back because he's been told it by Clara in the future, so he knows what message to give in the past to send to the future. But it only works if it works both ways. And I think that's what this episode is for me. It's just a big exploration into paradoxes, and if nothing changes and Roger G. Gwynn is still the Prime Minister in 2046 or whatever year it was, and nothing's really changed, at the end of the day we've had a really nice exploration to Millie's character. We've had some fantastic moments, and we've had a bit of fun in a Doctor Who in a Doctor-like Doctor Who episode, which, like we talked about earlier, was a big risk with only 8 episodes. And I think if you're going to do a Doctor-like episode with a companion that doesn't have a lot of kind of time spent with the Doctor, you have to do it, you have to focus the story on them. And I think that's what this story did so perfectly, was just focus on, right, what can we do with Millie? I came out of it almost not caring about the Mad Jack stuff and whether it works or you know, how did the Doctor disappear? Where did he go? All that kind of stuff, which, yeah, is important to think about, but I was too busy enjoying the episode to care almost. Maybe that's just me being kind of, you know, it doesn't matter because I liked it, but it doesn't matter because I liked it.
I think it's one of, I think I, again, might rewatch and change this. I also felt myself going, not that obviously within an 8 episode season I wanted it to be a 2-parter, but I was kind of like, I could see that if time and attention was given to everything, like the first 20 minutes. That first 20 minutes is tense and nice and some really enjoyable beats to this day. And then we kind of, you know, and we have a great scene with Kate. I really enjoyed some of that. But then, you know, we do then get into, like, the politics stuff, which is, I think, could have been great, but was rushed. And didn't quite sink, you know, that didn't quite have time to develop its stuff. And I think, even then, when you have so little explanation, it's like, we know it's Ruby, but Ruby has the ability and magical powers to always stay 73 yards, like on the train and stuff, and you know, I think there could be interesting elements here. I just think, you know, 2 problems. Give the political stuff a bit more depth. It was a little bit skimming the surface, and give me 10% more explanation, and we're cool. For me.
Yeah, that's fair. I was too wrapped up in the horror elements of it and my own kind of thinky brain to really kind of be stuck in it. And I think that's, you know, perhaps that's a saving grace of this episode, is that there's so much going on, you're almost not given enough time to think about the problems of it. I've seen this a lot on Doctor Who Twitter and stuff that's been compared to I've forgotten the name of the episode, but the Sarah Jane episode with Clive Langer.
That which so good. That's
amazing.
That's so good.
Which and so there were, you know, I've done a rewatch a couple of years ago of the Sarah Jane Adventures, which I love, so good. So I had that in the back of my mind when I was watching it, and, you know, there's been a lot of rumour about whether the Trickster is involved this season, which would be really cool. So then I was then going, oh, is it the Trickster? Is it this? Is it what's going on? And I almost kind of didn't actually care for the logic of it because I was so wrapped up in the theory around everything. And also, you know, I'm sure we'll discuss Susan Twist in a moment. But having her actually interacting with Ruby and Ruby going, do I know you? I was then, oh, is it Susan Twist? Is it, well, what's going on? And, you know, it was creepy. It was a creepy episode, and I think we haven't had truly creepy episodes in a while. and it was really nice and refreshing to watch. And yeah, perhaps on a rewatch for me, I'll go, actually, I like it less because it makes less sense and because I'm left with more questions. But on just the watching of it, I loved it. It was a great episode.
So. Oh, sorry, I got
It's
you,
alright,
darling.
it's alright. I have delicate fingers, but I'm fine.
You too. And a really delicate nose.
Thanks.
It pushes in when you do it. I'm gonna go by my own logic. I really like certain elements of it. I really didn't like certain elements of it. I'm gonna go 5.
I was gonna go 8.
5, 8, 8.9.
Oh
We
god, yeah.
got Vargas 8.9 in. Shit.
We'll call it 9 because maths.
Banging.
So
I'm getting about 7?
yeah, about
Yeah.
a 7. We'll call it a 7. We'll call it a 7.
So we've got a number 5, Church Ruby Road. Then I think that makes 73 yards next.
Yeah.
Then Devil's Court, then Space Babies, then Boom.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. I think that's probably how I feel.
I'm not unhappy.
Well, I think 7. Have I broken my own rules? Because I think I said earlier that no, but the more I talk about it, the more I'm not a fan of 73 yards. So I'm okay with that. I'm completely okay with that.
I can live with that ranking. It's not going to
Yeah.
upset me. It's not necessarily where I place everything, but I think it's a fair ranking. None of the episodes are bad episodes, and perhaps, I'll go back and go, actually, maybe a 6 is a bit lower, and I'd probably maybe cluster them all a little bit higher. But I think they're all really, really strong episodes, and we've had a really great introduction to a plot, some characters, and the second coming of our Lord and Saviour, Russel T Davies. So,
Series arcs, we've got the Pantheon being set up. Obviously, there were loads of stuff in the special itself with the Master and Teeth and all of that stuff. We've had Snow. We've had Susan Twist. What the fuck?
it's a lot, and I think...
Anita fucking Dobson?
Yeah. I think there's...
Hello? People need to stop interrupting your fucking
Postcard bombs.
Do you need help? That'll be fine. Susan Twist, mate.
Susan Twist.
It's always the twist.
There's always a twist at the end. I think
I really enjoyed the song at the end, by the way.
I
was
really enjoyed that. I forgot to mention it. It was a good
people are
song.
fucking boring. They don't
Yeah.
like that kind of stuff. That was fun.
It was good, and it's made even more fun because then everyone started looking for Susan Twist, and everyone was going, "Oh, Susan Twist." It's just fun. I love the discourse, but I think it's a really interesting overarching plot because it's the first meta overarching plot because Susan Twist is obviously not the name of any of the characters, it's the name of the actress. So there's something really fascinating about almost bringing us into the world of Doctor Who and going, right, can you figure this out before the Doctor and Ruby figure it out? Because surely now that Ruby's seen whoever Susan Twist ends up being, that it's going to have to come up and that's going to have to be addressed a lot more head on the next time they appear. But I think putting us in this kind of race against the characters to figure it out lends itself so perfectly to what Doctor Who has always been about, which has been bringing in people to enjoy these stories. I think it's great, and I think it stops people just chatting shit on Twitter and actually gets them discussing things, because otherwise it would just be, Doctor Who's gone woke and all this kind of crap, and now we're actually going, who is Susan Twist? And then that's much more enjoyable, I think. I also think it's very creepy. The idea of just this woman popping up as different people. I'm in with this. I like this. It's like Bad Wolf but interactive. It's great.
I like that it's setting things up without spoon feeding it. It's not like it's season 4 and Rose pops up on a TV screen, so Rose is returning.
Yeah.
It's giving us things without like we know some things we know we're gonna find out about Ruby's heritage. Do we care? Yeah. But you know, we're setting up things without having them spoon-fed to us.
Yeah.
And that's nice.
It is nice, and I think it also it's playing into this. Oh, sorry, you gave a look. I'm sorry.
I keep staring at the camera just in case it's gonna run out of
in case it
time.
does. I think it's brought us into this new kind of era of TV and social media interacting, which is that people discuss things outside of what's going on, and people have the ability to go, oh, is that a reference to something? I'm going to go back and watch all these things. So like with the with the I've my brain has stopped working. The episode with Maestro. Give me the title so I don't look like an idiot. Devil's Cord. Thank you. So like Devil's Cord, the moment where Ruby is kind of suspended in the air singing, and she kind of gives this very melodic tune. I've seen a lot of people on the internet going, oh, is this the Trickster's theme, which brings even more credence into that kind of argument. And you wouldn't have had this 15, 20 years ago nearly as much when Doctor Who was big. It was almost more about how Doctor Who.
My fucking knees, mate!
The poor knees!
Twist my knees!
Susan twist his knees.
Oh, God. Come on. Sorry, Susan. No.
But I think, yeah, so I think I was waffling on about the interaction between social media and Doctor Who today, because it gives... They know that people are going to watch... Oh?
It was doing the wrong focus. Let's hope that last part wasn't too unfocused. I just realised...
That's fine.
Fucking hell.
But I think they know that the whole of Twitter and Instagram is just going to blow up with theories and ideas of things. So I think they've started playing into that a lot more, which kind of I think is great. You know, it allows Doctor Who to feel more like a community as opposed to just bitches on the internet who go, I don't like a woman as a doctor, I don't like a black man as a doctor, I don't like homosexuals in my Doctor Who, and it's just like, fuck off and enjoy it. You know, and I think that's what's great about the way they've done this season, is that people can now fuck off and enjoy it.
Yeah. I couldn't have put it well myself.
Stop it.
That's very good. Just because I don't think, as far as I know about your life, I don't think we're going to get to do a full series review. So
Don't know.
We'll see what we can do.
We'll try best.
So upcoming episodes. So we're a few days going to Dot and Bubble. Obviously, we've seen a bit of footage from that. So far, I think it's a fun concept. Could be cool. It's been described as more Black Mirror-y before.
Yeah, I was getting Black Mirror.
I think those two, a Doctor Who-y Black Mirror, can certainly work. People have been slightly nervous that Shooty and Millie could only be on the screens kind of vibe, but it might not be. People are worried that Shooty and Millie again might not be involved as much, especially because it was in the same shooting block. It's on the first shooting block, and therefore has sex ed got in the way again.
Yeah.
If so, that would be incredibly disappointing.
It will be very disappointing, but I think if they do that, but have perhaps have Shooty and Millie there a lot, you could get away with it. I don't know. I think this is the problem with filming stuff today. You're always going to have clashes and stuff like that, and Doctor Who's always been up for trying interesting stuff. I mentioned Sleep No More. I actually was a fan of the use of first-person cameras or security cameras to do that episode. I don't necessarily think it
was good.
It was great, and I don't think the episode's particularly good, but I think it was a really interesting choice. So the choice of having the Doctor and their companion as kind of almost passengers along with us in this journey could be really interesting. But, like we've been saying, 8 episodes, it's a risk to do a Doctor-like episode once. It's a very big risk to do a quarter of your episodes where the Doctor is not an important part of it. It could pay off, but I am worried. The Black Mirror-y stuff, big fan of. I think it's, like I said, it's been a while since Doctor Who's been creepy. There's Doctor Who's been very thinky, but I think creepy Doctor Who is always fun, and if they can play into that more, we could be in a position to get some really fun Doctor Who. And it's camp. and we love Camp Doctor Who.
Love Camp Doctor Who. Speaking of camp, do you reckon we're getting a bit of camp in Rogue, the 6th episode with Period and lots of Jonathan Groff? Hopefully, that
Well,
man
we've got
is fucking
Jonathan
hot.
Groff, and we've got everyone wearing period outfits, and all fancy things. I think yes, it's going to be very camp, and I'm very excited. I hope there's more singing in it because it pisses off everyone, and I love it.
Look, it's the Loki writers.
Yeah, I believe
doing
so.
it?
Which is interesting, and I know you did your dissertation on this, but Russell T Davies' dismay of queer baiting in Loki. So I think it'll be very interesting to see if they can kind of redeem themselves in his eyes in what's probably going to be a very queer-based episode.
Because what I reckon, I'm going to theorise behind the scenes stuff. I reckon what could have happened is they could have started, like, they see that was criticised, they start talking, and then RTD gives them the opportunity to write something quite queery.
Yeah.
Query?
Query?
I shouldn't have said query.
Why not?
No, is it in terms of, like, query is an actual word. Queer. Why did I add me on there?
If you had an apostrophe and if you go queer E, then it's fine.
I'm sound, yeah, query.
Sorted.
I'm now going to use query in every.
I would.
I love being query. I do. That could be a lot of fun. And then we hit the 2-parter, which, if I'm completely, I don't know if I'm sounding like a big Doctor Who nerd here. I am kind of like, can we have some returning monsters, please, or something? I don't know because I certainly don't want this to be like a Dalek Cybermen Mastery finale.
Yeah.
But I would also be like, just because we're doing something new doesn't mean we have to drop every old character, and I'm worried we are hurtling towards a series with no returning baddie.
Yeah, that's a possibility I hadn't actually thought of. It would be a shame if not, but I also feel that this season and the strength of its writers and performers is at a point where we could get away with that, and it would still be very enjoyable and feel very Doctor Who-y. My concern going forward is that we're halfway through the season. We've unearthed a number of plot points, which could all be very easily related, but there's a worry that we kind of end up, especially if we've got another Doctor Light episode, which is also possibly Companion Light, and this is obviously all speculation, but if we don't get to spend a lot of time exploring those things in the episode in a couple of days, then we've got 3 episodes, including the 2-part finale, to wrap up all these things, or possibly not wrap them up, but put them in a satisfying place that we can wait until Christmas, and then the next season. I'm worried that some of them might feel rushed, which would be a real shame because there are some really interesting plot points. I kind of, my preference would be leave the Pantheon alone for now and just kind of keep building it up as this thing, adding rogues to it, and focus on the Ruby Sunday story because, and I think that is what they're doing, but I find it genuinely interesting. I like the motif of snow and of Carol of the Bells and a person that we don't really know the identity of that's far away and could be Ruby, could not be Ruby, and all this stuff about who they are. I find that really interesting.
That's the one thing is I'm not sure if you've seen the certain set photo, so to do with Ruby's arc. So I won't say anything if you haven't. But
I don't think I have.
In that case, I won't mention it. If you've seen the photo and you're worried, because I know I'm certainly worried about how they're wrapping up that arc because I've seen that photo and I think it's a very dull answer. I think what'll happen is episode 7, we solve Ruby's heritage in someone, especially as the episode is called "The Legend of Ruby Sunday."
Yeah.
I think we deal with that, and we then enter into a more epic style because it has been mentioned we are doing a big epic finale, which I'm not opposed to at all.
Absolutely not.
Love a bit of epicness. It would be epic.
It would be epic.
I'm not opposed to that. In fact, I would embrace it. I would love a little wee epic finale.
Yeah. That'd be good.
Have you said anything, not said anything that you wanted to discuss with my adoring 12 fans?
Hello, adoring 12 fans.
Number 12 is good. It's good. I hit 1.2k the other day. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. I don't think I necessarily have anything to say other than the season's fucking great, and if you disagree with that, you're wrong.
You are a bit of a wet wipe.
You're a bit of a wet wipe. I think people, you know, I've seen this argument a lot, and I really like it. It's the same issue that people have with Star Wars that Freddie Prinze Jr. talked about when he was on a podcast about it, and it's just, you know, you're just sad that that they gave the X-Wing to it, that they gave the Millennium Falcon to a girl, and that you didn't grow up with, you know, you've grown up and the series hasn't. Because at the end of the day, it's made for kids and families to watch on Saturday, you know, with your TV on your lap in front of the sofa, and then that's what Doctor Who's always been.
With your TV on your lap?
No, with your dinner on your lap.
Thank you. I thought that was what you meant, but I was like...
Yeah, TV right here.
Dun-la-dun.
But, like, you know, that's how my mum grew up watching Doctor Who with Tom Baker. That's how I grew up watching Doctor Who with Matt Smith. And I, you know, it would be nice if people would accept the fact that that's what, you know, people of this generation are able to do. And it's not Doctor Who for you. It's Doctor Who for everyone.
Mm.
So, stop being a fucking wet wipe. One Oscar, please, thank you.
God, right, first year, where was that political speech? Fucking hell, that would have been a lot better than the shit you did. I don't remember what you did, I just thought I'd do a political speech joke. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you.
Like, subscribe, you might see him again. Fingers fucking crossed, because he's vaguely not shit. Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.
What else do you want from me? A big long outro?
A kiss.
What am I like?